You tweet a lot.
I use my tweets to express myself. Some people use their hair. I use Twitter.
Well, but you use your tweeting to kind of get back at critics.
Rarely.
You kind of have little wars with the press.
Twitter is a war zone. If somebody's going to jump in the war zone, it's like, okay, you're in the arena. Let's go.
Have you had any of your tweets censored?
No.
None. Does someone have to read them before they go out?
No.
So your tweets are not supervised?
The only tweets that would have to be, say, reviewed would be if a tweet had a probability of causing a movement in the stock.
And that's it?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's, hello, First Amendment. Freedom of speech is fundamental.
Is Elon Musk really red-pilled? On May 17th, the South African billionaire and engineer tweeted the popular phrase, "Take the red pill." What does he mean by this? Is he just simply referencing the Matrix trilogy? Or is Elon Musk trying to say he's awakened to the truth? And if so, when did this revelation take place? Because this phrase has become popular as an indication of a cultural or political orientation to discovering the unpleasant truth behind pleasant lies, is the billionaire trying to reveal his ideological stance and alliance with following the facts, wherever they may lead down the rabbit hole? Or, yet another option, is Elon trying to co-opt a largely new and ever-expanding coalition of people who chase after the truth of reality to curry favor with the fact seekers? Is Musk a Trojan horse sent to sneak attack the truth? What does Elon Musk really believe? And how does he feel about current issues around the world? Well, the man seems to speak for himself.
25 years from now, what are we going to be?
Well, assuming civilization is still around. It's looking fragile right now.
Now, when you say civilization's fragile, do you mean because of this COVID-19 shit that's going on right now?
The list of symptoms that could be COVID at this point is like a mile long. So it's like hard to, if you're ill at all, it's like, it could be COVID. So just to give people better information, definitely diagnosed with COVID or had COVID-like symptoms. We're conflating those two so that it looks bigger than it is. Then if somebody dies, was COVID a primary cause of the death or not? I mean, if somebody has COVID, gets eaten by a shark, we find their arm has COVID, it's going to get recorded as a COVID death. If you get hit by a bus, go to the hospital and die, and they find that you have COVID, you will be recorded as a COVID death.
Why would they do that, though?
The stimulus bill that was intended to help with the hospitals that were being overrun with COVID patients created an incentive to record something as COVID that is difficult to say no to, especially if your hospital is going bankrupt for lack of other patients. So the hospitals are in a bind right now. There's a bunch of hospitals they're furloughing doctors, as you were mentioning. If your hospital's half full, it's hard to make ends meet. So now you've got if I just check this box, I get $8,000. Put them on a ventilator for 5 minutes, I get $39,000. Or I got to fire some doctors. So this is a tough moral quandary. It's like what you can do.
Yeah, I've read all this stuff about that, about them diagnosing people as a COVID death despite other variables.
This is not a question. This is what is occurring. I think the mortality rate is much less than what say the World Health Organization said it was. It's very much less. It's like probably at least an order of magnitude less. Most of the hospitals in the United States right now are half empty. In some cases, they're at 30% capacity. It's almost like people really wanted a panic. It's quite crazy.
Did you feel the same way when CNN had that stupid shit about ventilators with you? I found that both confusing and
yeah, that was annoying.
It was annoying.
It was wrong.
But it's also annoying as a person who reads CNN and wants to think of them as a responsible conveyor of the facts. I would like to think that.
Yeah. I don't think CNN is that.
I think it used to be.
It used to be, yeah.
When you made a series of tweets recently I don't remember the exact wording, but essentially you were saying free America now. Like, let's
That is the
open it
exact
back.
wording.
That is it. I like what you said when you said that it should be a choice, and that to require people to stay home, require people to not go to work, and to arrest people for trying to make a living. This all seems wrong, and I think
Yes.
it's a wrong approach. It's an infantilization of the society. That daddy's going to tell you what to do.
Fundamentally a violation of the Constitution.
Yes.
Freedom of assembly, and these would definitely not stand up. If the Supreme Court here, I mean, it's obviously a complete violation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just believe if this is a free country, you should be, allowed to do, what you want as long as it does not endanger others. Where do civil liberties fit in this picture?
Yeah.
And what can the government make you do? What can they make you not do? And what's okay?
Right.
I think we went too far.
Just in general, production and manufacturing is underappreciated. I think, especially in the U.S., frankly. So we should really pay a lot more attention and care a lot more about manufacturing.
Some people have this absurd, view that the economy is like some magic horn of plenty. Like it just makes stuff, whatever. It just there's a magic horn of plenty, and the goods and services they just come from this magic horn of plenty. And then if somebody has more stuff than somebody else, it's because they took more from this magic horn of plenty. Now let me just break it to you, the fools out there. If you don't make stuff, there's no stuff. You become detached from reality. You can't just legislate money and solve these things. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff. Obviously. I do think the globalization that we have at the sort of the meme sphere is there's not enough isolation between countries or regions. It's like if there's a mind virus, that mind virus can infect too much of the world. I actually sort of sympathize with the anti-globalization people, because it's like, man, we don't ever want everywhere to be the same, for sure, and then we need some kind of mind viral immunity. So that's it's a bit concerning.
Aside from this commentary on topical issues of today, Elon Musk is very preoccupied with his company SpaceX and is borderline obsessed with venturing to Mars.
If we're not out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have.
I mean, the long-term aspiration is to develop the technologies necessary to transport a large number of people and cargo to Mars in order to create a self-sustaining civilization there. And that's really why I started the company, was because it seemed as though...
To create the possibility for life on other planets.
Yeah, exactly.
So we could live on Mars, just getting there is the problem.
Yes. But right now getting to Mars is impossible. So it's kind of doesn't matter what you do when you get there if you can't get there. So the first order of business is to figure out how to get there, and it needs to be in a way that enables large numbers of people and cargo. It can't just be like a handful of people, because that's obviously not going to create a self-sustaining civilization.
No, I mean, I hope I'm not dead by the time people go to Mars. That would be a great outcome, I think. It might be, if we don't improve our pace of progress, I'm definitely, going to be dead before we go to Mars. So I'm just would like to not be dead by the time we go to Mars.
However, one unpleasant truth is that SpaceX is not venturing to Mars by itself as an independent company, something Musk seems to represent himself to be. In fact, SpaceX has received $5.5 billion in government contracts from NASA and the US Air Force, meaning that taxpayer dollars are funding a large number of SpaceX's operations. Is this truth about about Elon Musk's SpaceX tax collection something red-pilled Americans would support or agree with? A merging of corporate and government ventures? How far back does Musk's relationship with the U.S. government extend?
I've obviously had a long relationship with the Air Force and very much appreciate the support over the years. So I just want to make sure to say that. And look forward to doing a lot of interesting things in the future.
An American rocket in American space with American
By the way, let me
astronauts.
tell you this. I'm sure you know this. The guys that told me this were in the meeting. I said, well, this is classified. They said, it's okay. You can say. They've got a deal, him and Musk, to actually, in like a year, they've already got robots up on the moon with these 3D printers, and they're already building a base on the dark side of the moon for the Mars shot. Now and that's.
Oh, they told you, but that's correct. That they're going from that and they're going straight into Mars. That's correct.
And they've already got robots doing it.
Going further down the rabbit hole, in 1945, a Nazi aerospace engineer named Wernher von Braun was recruited by the US government to develop ballistic missiles. And during his years of engineering work, Braun became a pioneer of American space travel. He was the mastermind behind the Saturn V, an expendable liquid-fueled rocket that was in use from 1968 to 1972, and it was used in all Apollo missions. In 1952, Wernher von Braun wrote a non-fiction book called The Mars Project, which proposed a manned mission to Mars that would result in the planet's colonization, just as Elon Musk has proposed with SpaceX. Both the book and Musk described the transport of astronauts and crew members for colonization on Mars in massive spacecraft, starships as Elon says, that are required to be much larger than current spacecraft. Braun's book also describes the establishment of an autonomous government on Mars and went into great detail of the New World's governmental organization. Quote, "The Martian government was directed by 10 men, the leader of whom was elected by universal suffrage for 5 years and entitled Elon." Elon? Why did this Nazi scientist name the rulers of this proposed Martian colony Elon instead of President or Führer? In the Old Testament, Elon is a Hebrew name which means oak tree or judge, and signifies great knowledge and wisdom. This seems like a good enough reason to name the Martian leader Elon. However, does this non-fictional work have any direct relation to Elon Musk and his obsession with colonizing Mars? Or is this all just some sort of strange coincidence? Who is Elon Musk? Who is he working for? Is he working for the truth? Or is he a weapon of deceit, designed to destroy the line between fact and fiction? I guess we won't know until he tells us in a tweet. This is Brian Wilson with Infowars.com.
A new collection of one of our highest demanded InfoWars shirt designs is now available at the InfoWars store. The Space Force collection from InfoWars Life contains 4 all-new designs for the Space Force shirt logo. With the same comfortable material and easily noticed logo, these are can't-miss additions to any InfoWars closet. Now available in a Betsy Ross, inverted camo, military style, and American Circle option, they're fashionable items for a patriot on the go in need of a standout design. There's no better way to support the InfoWars crew while spreading the word to the world about the fight for liberty. Go to InfoWarsStore.com and pick up your favorite design today.